Hi there, Laura from Gold Star Work here. This is knitting podcast number 4, and today I have been very busy over this last month and done a lot of knitting and finished quite a few things. Now, one of the things that I had done last time that I had finished and I said I didn't know whether it would fit, it was for my dad and it was a vest, and I'm going to put in a picture because I haven't got it with me anymore because I've given it to my dad. It was way too big in the body. The shoulders fit, so like from here it fit fine, and then it just was way too big. So I didn't unpick it, but I did do something, and I will show you how much too big it was. I didn't do a gauge swatch because I was using all different kinds of wool and stuff, and I wasn't sure what size that I should be making, but yeah. So I will just put in a little clip of what it looked like and what I plan to do with it. So this is the one that fits him. Laid on top of the one that does not fit him. You can see how much more room there is. Luckily the top fits. But yeah, it's way too big. And am I going to pull it all and re-knit it? No, I am not. And the hardcore knitters watching this, if any hardcore knitters out there watch this, you're going to cringe at this, but I am a sewer at heart and I'm going to sew this because my my problem with knitting in the past has always been, like, if you knit it and it doesn't fit you, you've got to unpick it all, and all you've got left is string. At least with sewing, you still have the material left. So I am going to sew up the side seams and get it to fit him, because there is no way I'm unpicking this. I weaved in all the ends, and in my experience, trying to unpick anything where the ends have been weaved in is just not very successful. And I've already redone the back once already, and it's still too big. So, yeah. Gift knitting when you don't know what size to knit is not a good idea, in my opinion. So, all you purist knitters, I think is the word I'm looking for, will be absolutely horrified at what I did, because there was no way I was unpicking that. I'd woven in all those millions of ends and everything, and there was just no way it was going to come undone in any hurry. So, and it was a scrap wool project, so I just sewed up the sides, and he has worn it and it fits him. It's fine. I haven't got a picture of him wearing it, but yeah, you'll see him coming in a crowd, that's for sure. He will stand out. But he was quite happy. I think he was quite touched that I actually made him something. As I said, I'm not a very experienced knitter, so I'm still learning a lot of stuff. But yeah, I did finish that, and I was nearly finished with a lot of projects, so I have finished quite a few things, which is why I finished quite a few things. But the other thing I had been knitting was my little vest, which is now finished. Here it is here, and the back has a little 2x2 rib detail in the back. This has been washed and blocked, which is better than in my other one where nothing had been washed and blocked. And I have actually worn this quite a few times now. It's not something that I would wear against my skin because it's quite scratchy, and even like if I start getting warm when I wear it, I can even feel it through like a t-shirt or something that I'm wearing it over the top of. So in cold weather it'll be great, it'll be nice and warm, and I have worn it a few times, and I've got a couple of photos of me wearing it, so I will pop the photos in so you can see what it looks like on. So that was another one of my finished projects, and here is my little waistcoat all finished, and it is drying. I sort of pinned out the edge to make it hopefully sit flat. This bit here is not sitting flat. I think when I adjusted the pattern, I should have taken out a few stitches here, but I did not. But then I'm not very experienced at knitting, so lesson learnt for another. I finished this very early on in the month, so forgive me while I try and find all the bits and pieces. So it was out of a magazine that I had bought. So this Creative Knitting Magazine, a volume Winter 49, if that's any help to anyone. And it was this little vest here, with the rib back. And I didn't do it with the buttons up the front. I made some modifications. So I took out the buttons up the front, and I think I've got in the little clip I have got of it, I said I thought it was like a bit, while it was drying, that it was coming out a bit here, but when I wear it, it seems fine. It sits flat and things, so that's all fine. But I really like it, but the wool is very scratchy, and I did originally buy that wool for a cushion cover, not to wear, and it was Woolly Red Hut. So it's an 8-ply pure wool. In the colour mustard. I wouldn't buy this wool again for a garment, and I had very little of it left, but I wanted to use it all. I now have this little wee bits left. I decided to make a pair of socks with the leftover, but I didn't have enough for a whole pair of socks, and it's a DK weight, and I've never done a DK weight sock. I've only done like your sock wool, little thin fingering kind of weight. And so this I started and finished. So these are all finished, but I had to use more than one type of wool. So that's the little sock that I made, which took some experimenting because I didn't know how many stitches to do or what size needle to do for a DK. And I did use kind of a pattern or a recipe. And the other wool that I used was stuff that I had in my stash already, and that was the Jack and Jill 100% pure wool here, and this one was in colour natural mustard. So we've got mustard at the top and natural mustard. This bit here looks a bit weird because I washed them and I just pegged it on the line, and that bit stretched out, so probably not the best thing to put it on the line. And this bit here is an acrylic. This is the Lion brand. I don't think I haven't got the label for that, but that's a Lion brand, and it's 100% acrylic for the toe there because I didn't have enough of this or enough of this to do anything. So it's a very weird looking sock. I think it's not the prettiest looking sock, but I wanted the yellow at the top, so when I wore my vest, my yellow at the top would show above my shoe. So that was why I knitted it like that. But I have got to, and I have worn these, and I have worn these with this and enjoyed it. Being around my leg, it's not as scratchy, but when I started getting really warm, again, it did itch a little. So I wouldn't, for me personally, I wouldn't use the Red Hut yarn as a garment against my skin. The Jack and Jill wasn't as bad, but again, I don't know that I would want to make a whole garment out of that. It's still a little bit scratchy, but not nearly as bad as this one. This one, as soon as you put it against my face, it scratches immediately, whereas this one's like, hey, it's more tolerable. So I kind of made a set. I'm kind of weird like that. I kind of like since I've started knitting socks, I kind of like it when I have a pair of socks that match something that I've got. So the socks, I used 2 books. I learnt to knit socks mostly from the internet, but I also used this book a lot when I was first learning, and my little place holder is a piece of yarn. So I used this pattern here, kind of, in this book, the wide stripe socks, but I was only really using it because they use a DK, so they had the sizes that I needed and the idea for the pattern, because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But this book, Knitting Socks by Anne Budd, and I'll link that down below for anyone who's interested. The thing I like about it is it has the yarn size and suggested stitch counts for the different sizes. So my normal sock is with a fingering or sports weight sock, and what I like to use. So I don't completely follow this pattern because this is done top down with a heel flap and gusset, and that's not what I do anymore. I do German short row heel, and I do it toe up. So I used magic loop until I get to a point where I can change to a 9-inch circular, and then I used a 9-inch circular and I used a 2.75, and yeah, so German short row heel and then the 2x2 rib. And I was also getting ideas in my sock architecture book, but I'm actually using this one for my next sock project because I wasn't completely happy with this one. I just think it looks quite ugly. But that could be because of the yarn choices, but yeah, I will show you in the next one what I'm using this book for. But I was reading that one and this one trying to get my gauge right, because I'm usually a 56 stitch for a sock, but I went down a size and it was still way too big. I ended up going all the way down to a 40 to get one that fit me. So I had trouble with this one being a different yarn weight. But it was an interesting experiment, and I'm trying something different, which I'll show you in my whips. So that was 2 of my projects that I've finished from last time, or 3 if you count my dad's one. And the other thing that I finished was my little colourwork fingerless mittens, which I got from a book from the library, Feral Style. I have actually seen someone else, and I don't remember who it is now, looking at this book and knitting stuff out of it, but that's what it's supposed to look like. Little fingerless mittens. I think there's another picture there. And I just used leftover sock wool for that. I'll link this book too if you're interested. And it was my experiment on doing colour work for the very first time, so I have never done colour work before. And this is the one I made first, and I had some challenges. I started off with magic loop around here, and this is quite loose. There's quite a lot of room in here, and I started the colour work off in a, I think it was a 3.25 circular, but the circular, I was struggling with the circular needle because it was really stretching out the knitting on the amount of stitches I had, because I think it surprised me because it was a 56 stitch count, so the same as what I do my socks in, but because it was colour work it was pulling tighter, I presume that's why, and so the whole knitting was really stretching out, and so this whole section is really, really loose, and I did struggle a little bit with it, and I changed my method for the second one and it's a little bit tighter, and then I had to I couldn't understand the pattern for this bit, and I said that last time for the thumb, but that wasn't the pattern's fault. I think that's just my inexperience, and I've never made fingerless mittens before, let alone colour work. So, and then I used DPNs for this bit here, which went quite tight, and I didn't want to do the whole thing in DPNs because that just sounded too hard to me. So in this one I went down a size. I went to a 2.75, and this one was significantly tighter, I used DPNs for this bit, which is still looking loose because I have washed and blocked these, and I had to aggressively block this one because it was significantly smaller than this one. Which, when you're wearing them, you can tell a little bit when they're side by side, but people aren't going to be looking at my hands side by side, so I don't think it matters. And it's quite a lot tighter in here as well. So this one probably feels a bit more secure, but it is a little bit tight. This one's a bit more comfortable, but it is a little bit loose. So I don't know the answer to that. But it was interesting. I learnt lots of new things. I learnt the colour work and doing my floats, and I learnt how to do splitting for the thumb, and I learnt how to use DPNs, which I'd never used before. So I actually really liked them. But yeah, I had no idea what I was doing for most of it, and one is bigger than the other because I was experimenting. I didn't expect them to look the same, so I don't know whether you can tell, but this one here is smaller. Because I was experimenting, I didn't mind if they weren't exactly the same because it was an experiment. So you might be able to tell better there how much bigger that back one is than the front one. But that was fun, and I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed seeing the little mushrooms come along and sort of getting to the next bit where you see how the pattern's going. And I learnt quite a lot about using my stitch markers more to keep track of the pattern to make it easier for me and everything. And I used sock wool. Some of it was Happy Feet. If I have any labels left in here. So some of it was Happy Feet sock wool. And the only pink I had that was thin enough was this one here, which is a fake kind of mohair. So this is all acrylic polyester, but that was only in those tiny little pink ones. This one was Happy Feet. The colour was Happy Feet. This one was not Happy Feet, but I haven't got a label in here, so I don't know what it was. And I also haven't got a label for the other one, for the main blue colour. So I can't tell you what those are, so that's not very helpful, is it? But I enjoyed doing that. And so instead I used my sock needles, my Eddie Wonder sock needle for the second one, which is one of those ones where it has one longer than the other, and these are my favourite kind to use because they're just so much easier than using two tiny little needles. So I do seem to use a few different methods on what I do. I'm not afraid to switch it up. So the other thing that I made, because I think I mentioned it last time, I wanted to make a colourwork top-down yoke sweater, but I've never done colourwork, which is why I did those mittens, which are now buried somewhere. So yeah, which is why I did the colourwork mittens, to practice that. But I also wanted to practice the top-down yoke construction because I've never done a yoke sweater or top-down or a complete sweater in the round, because all my knitting up to this date has been, apart from the socks that are in the round and now those colourwork mittens, all the garments that I have made have all been seamed and like top up, and you do it in bits and then sew it up. So the wool that I have ordered for my colourwork sweater isn't in yet and may not be in for a while because of shipping delays. So I decided I wanted to practice a top-down yoke sweater, and so I decided to do the popular sweater that everyone says is so easy and is fun to knit, and so I thought I should be able to do that. So I did a ranunculus, and I have finished it. It looks very much not like a ranunculus, but this is what it looks like. And I had some wool in my stash already, some yarn in my stash. So it is an 8-ply Angora cloud. It's mostly acrylic it's 25% Angora mohair and 75% superfine acrylic, and it looks like this. This little fluffy ball, very very light. I wouldn't have called it a DK because it's quite thin, but that's what they call it. I had a lot of trouble with it. I guess I thought it would be easier than it was, because everyone was saying how easy it is to knit and how good the pattern is and that. And this taught me that I don't know as much about knitting as I think it is. Sorry, my daughter's just come out of the room and is talking to the cat right outside my door. So this is what it looks like. It is significantly smaller than other Ranunculuses, which is good because I didn't want to make it really huge. First of all, it's very size inclusive. It has a ton of sizes on it, but I had no idea which size to go, even though it's got measurements and that. It was like it's a very loose fitting sweater, but I didn't want that much positive ease in it, so I really had trouble figuring out what size to make. And although I looked at people's notes and stuff, I just had trouble figuring it out. So I made a size 3, and I had a trouble reading the pattern. There were so many words and so many numbers, and I found it really confusing, and it just showed me I'm really inexperienced at reading modern indie patterns, because this is the first indie pattern that I've ever read. All my other patterns that I've ever done are commercial patterns, or they're older patterns from like the 80s. And I was reading a pattern the other day that was significantly older than that, and that was very few words, and I couldn't understand that one either. I was thinking, there's no way I could make this. I think it could have been 1950s pattern. There's no way I could have knitted that without significantly more help, because I found that very confusing too, and I found this really confusing. And the only reason why I ended up being able to do it is because of the videos on YouTube. So without the videos, this would never have happened. I did the sleeves completely differently though. I got down to where you split for the sleeves and realised my stitch count was completely off, because I didn't check it as I went. I'd done something very wrong, and my stitch count was completely wrong. And for the size 3, I already had nearly all the stitches I needed without increasing for the raglan. So I didn't increase for the raglan. And in the sleeves, instead of just knitting straight down, I knitted, and then I changed my needle size smaller and smaller, so that it kind of naturally decreased down, and did a very small needle size for the cuff. And yeah, so yeah, when I still see people saying, oh, I made the Ranunculus, it's so easy, the pattern's such a breeze to read. And now that I've knitted it, and I'm actually knitting it again because my daughter saw it and decided she wanted one, and now that I'm knitting it again, it is easier for me to read now, because I know what I'm supposed to be doing. But this was not as easy as people keep telling me it is. I'll put it on for you, and you'll see it's significantly tighter than other Ranunculus. I keep seeing people calling it ranunculi, but that doesn't seem right to me. Like, I grow ranunculus in the garden, and I don't say ranunculi when there's more than one. I don't say ranunculuses. I just call them ranunculus. It's like you don't say sheeps, you just say sheep. I don't know, but I'll put this on and show you what it looks like. So here is my ranunculus. It's significantly smaller than what it is supposed to be, and I deliberately made the sleeves kind of bracelet length so that they wouldn't get in the way at home when I was doing stuff, because I hate it when my sleeves grow too much. I was also expecting that when I washed and blocked it, which I have, it would kind of stretch out more, but I think because of the type of yarn and it has so much acrylic in it, it didn't. So the sleeves didn't grow the way I thought they would. But that's okay. It was a good learning experience, and I enjoyed making it, but it was frustrating. It was definitely a learning experience. So I used a lot of videos, and I'm going to have to look up who I ended up using, because although they do have videos that go with this pattern, and I watched a couple of them, but it was hard to find, for me anyway, I found it hard to find them in the right order, and I wasn't sure, is this the one that goes with that, because it was just really confusing for me, and it just made me feel like I didn't know how to knit or read a pattern. So the videos I ended up using was the Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. Can you see that? So the Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks channel, she has done an entire series on tips on how to knit the Ranunculus, because she was doing a knit along in April. Now I didn't join the knit along, I was just doing it on my own, and I just discovered her when I was looking up Ranunculus on how to do it, because the little videos that you get when you go on Ravelry and you buy the pattern and it shows you the videos, you go onto YouTube for the videos, but there are no words in there, just little clips, and it wasn't quite enough for me, and I wanted to show you the difference in the patterns that I'm used to doing. So this is a pattern that I'm doing at the moment, and it's just, this is it, this is the pattern. You download the Ranunculus pattern and you get like a book. And it was just so much. And once I knew what I was doing, and I could see then, yes, if you follow the pattern exactly, then it has everything you need, but my brain just couldn't process it. It was like there are too many words and too many unfamiliar symbols and things. So yeah, everyone says it's really easy, and it is like an enjoyable knit, and but I wouldn't say it was easy if you're not used to independent knitting patterns, or you have a tendency to skip over instructions like I have. Like with the little ones, there's not a lot you have to read, and then it's like, okay, I know what I'm doing. Whereas that one was a lot more involved in the reading, and my brain just couldn't process it. So Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks, thank you very much, because I don't think I would have ended up knitting it without your help. It was very handy, and I will link her channel down below, and I ended up making myself a playlist of all her tips and tricks, so that when I made the next one, I would know what I was doing, which brings me on to whips, because that's all my finished objects. I feel like I talked for ages without really saying a lot. But in my project bag, which I don't actually own proper project bags, this is a shopping bag, a reusable shopping bag. That's what I use for my project bags. I am making another Ranunculus, which my daughter decided she wanted a rainbow wool one. It's the same yarn as I made this one out of. Oh, sorry, that was my microphone. The same one as I made this one out of. And I have nearly finished this, and I made a size 4 this time, and when I have finished I will try it on for me. I can't try it on to show you at the moment, because the needles I have on it, the cord isn't big enough to try on. My daughter is like smaller than me, like she's an adult, she's 22, but she's smaller than me, but she has really long arms, so the sleeves are significantly longer. They're so long I can't even fit them in the frame. The sleeves seem to take forever. But I did the pattern properly this time. I need to fix the neck up, because I discovered I don't have a small enough cord for the large needles to do a circular yoke for it's just the first 4 stitches of the neck. I did the small neck and I did the small neck for this one as well, without it stretching too much. And I could have done magic loop, and I started magic loop with this one, and I just kept getting confused in the pattern when I swapped my magic loop over. So I tried to do it circular and it didn't work so well, so I'm going to have to fix that up, which I will do when I finished. But this is what it looks like at the moment. So I've nearly finished. I'm actually on the rib at the bottom, so it's very, very close to being finished. And so far she's really happy with it. She's been trying it on, and doing the yoke part was a lot easier, and I got the right stitch count this time, so I ended up being able to do the regular raglans. So I'll be quite interested to see how this fits compared to this one. This one I can still wear, but only because the actual pattern is so oversized that the mistakes I made didn't mean that I couldn't fit into it still. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what this one is like. I have a feeling that for me, depending on how this one fits at a size 4, I think I'd make a size 5 for me. So be interesting to see. But that is my current status of this whip. And I used the videos again and went through all the stages and did things properly, and it was a much more enjoyable doing that. It wasn't nearly as stressful. so yeah, that is, I've only got 3 whips. So the other whip that I had started, and this was one that I started in the car. I've actually already shown you the pattern. I'm not doing it quite exactly as the pattern, because in the pattern it has a V neck at the back, and this one was one that was supposed to be seamed, but I am making it in the round from the bottom up, and I've just got to the point now where I have split for the back, but I'm not doing the V. I'm going to do the front and the back the same, hoping I have enough wool, or yarn. I'm making it in a cotton because I want it as a t-shirt. I have 2 more balls. So it's a crochet 8-ply cotton, pure cotton. And yeah, so this is where I'm at so far. And I also did a little bit of short row shaping in the back to make the back longer than the front. Actually, I'm knitting the front at the moment. I've split for the front. That's the front. To remember which is which. Yeah, I'm doing the front at the moment, so I've just started shaping the armholes. But I've only got 2 balls left, so I'm hoping I have enough. I don't like plain yarn chicken, but it feels like I do quite regularly. So that is what I'm making, and that's been kind of a sideline one, where it's like, I can't knit on the Ranunculus anymore. What I found was I'm using the 6mm needles for the one that I'm doing for my daughter, and it hurts my hands. I can't knit on it too long because my hands get sore, whereas the smaller needles seem to be fine. So I've been switching up projects, and because I was having trouble with that, I decided to start another pair of socks. And I decided, and my pattern's not in here, but I decided to do the magic heel socks. So this project bag, I got with my curtains, as you can see. So I brought some new curtains recently, and I thought, a clear project bag would be quite cool. So yeah, that's what I'm using. And I started off with the magic heel sock pattern, and the reason why I wanted to try it is because it's magic heel sock pattern has a heel that's supposed to be like adjustable. It's good for kids that, as their feet grow, it doesn't matter because the heel will it's not an exact heel. It's not like a shaped heel like this. Or if you're knitting for someone who you don't know their exact sizes, you can still use it for them. So I thought I'd try with a DK. I have finished one sock. It's the weirdest looking sock ever. So I didn't follow the pattern exactly. Actually, I didn't print out the pattern, that's why the pattern's not in there. It's on my iPad, I think. Hang on. Okay, so the Magic Heel socks are by the Autumn Acorn. So, yes, so I've made the Magic Heel sock. I did it different from the pattern again. And I used a DK. I brought her pattern for the fingering weight one, but I wanted to use a DK because she does have a DK pattern, but I didn't want to get that one. And I used the same stitch count as my other DK socks, so I used 40, did magic loop for the toe, and then changed to a 2.75 circular for this bit, and that's the magic heel there. I'm not going to show you too closely because it's a broad pattern, and well, you know. The wool that I used the Jack and Jill for the blue at the toe. I keep picking up the wrong thing. Yeah, so I brought the Jack and Jill for the toe and the heel, and this one is in the colour denim. Which looks like this, which I thought looked cool. It's looking a lot brighter on the screen up close. Back here. It's quite a dull day today. We're in Auckland. We're in autumn in the fall because we're in New Zealand, so different side of the world from what most people watching me are at. So I used that for the toe, and then I found some of this luxury merino crepe 8-ply, which is lovely and soft, got a beautiful cushiony feel, and I'm hoping it won't be scratchy. It doesn't feel scratchy on my face, but because it's soft, I'm not sure how it'll wear for a sock because it doesn't have any acrylic in it, same as the Jack and Jill, but the Jack and Jill and the Red Heart is quite a lot more rustic, so I was thinking they would probably like wear better. And this one is called Big Blue, the blue that I used here. And then the pattern I did for this part, for the Magic Heel sock pattern, it is a top down, but I did toe up. The pattern that I used for this part I got from my sock architecture book, and again I've used yarn as my bookmarker. So I used, what do they call this one? The Stry toe up sock. Yeah, I don't want to show you all the patterns, so that's what that looks like. But I didn't do the pattern on the front there because it is a thicker sock. I was wondering if I did the pattern in the front, it might get too thick to put in my shoe. And this is also an experiment to see, you know, how the wool wears, what the Magic Heel is like. As I said, it's the weirdest looking sock ever because it's got no like actual heel. It's not till you put it on that you can see. No, so you can't show you on my hand. But it's not till you put it on that it looks like a sock. So if you gave it for a present, people might think, what is this? I might have to like make a sock blocker out of cardboard to put one on to show them what it's supposed to be. And I want to wear it first to see, is it comfortable? Does it, you know, fall down or slip because the heel isn't fitted to your heel or whatever. I don't know yet because I've only got one, and I'm got this much of the other one. So yes, I brought the pattern, but no, I'm not exactly following the pattern. I really just wanted to see how she did the Magic Heel part which you know, when I looked at it, it was pretty much what I thought. But because there's a pattern out there, I wanted to support the maker and buy the pattern. So I did that. She has a DK and a bulky one as well, which I wouldn't buy because I can just adjust. And because I haven't worn them yet, I don't know whether I like the feel of it or not. I do want to experiment more with different patterns on my socks, which is why I'm doing pattern and not just a stockinette kind of sock. So that is what I have been busy making, and I have many plans. So I will show you some of my plans. I can't show you all in that as yet. So I want to make Owls by Kate Davies. I haven't done cables before, but this was another pattern that I saw on YouTube, and people were saying, oh, it's really easy and fun to knit, and the cables are just at the top, and I thought that else was just so cute. So that is my next project. Once I've finished, I think I need to finish Melissa's Ranunculus, because I'll need those needles to do the owl one with. And the other thing I want to make is this Stasher Daisy Tea. So that's what that looks like. That's the other project I have in mind. And my daughter wants some fox socks, and I have brought the pattern for that as well. So the foxtail socks by the Petite Knitter is the other thing I want to knit. But I haven't got the brown wool I need, and I don't know why, but I'm having a lot of trouble finding brown sock weight wool around here. I've got all the other colours. I've already got the cream from earlier, so I already own the cream. I finally found the orange that I need the other day, but I still haven't got the brown because it uses two different tones of brown, and it's the darker brown I can't find. So I can't even find like a full ply in a brown. I found a double knit, but that's no good. So yeah, I'm having trouble finding the wool that I need for that. But I want to get my Ranunculus off the needles before I start my owl one, and I'm quite keen to start my little t-shirt one. So that is what I've been doing in April. Lots of knitting. It was my birthday, so that's why I've been looking at different patterns and things, thinking, what do I want to knit for a birthday jersey? So it was going to be my colourwork one, but I can't get the wool for that yet, so it's going to be my owl jersey. It's going to be my birthday jersey this year, and maybe the other one will have to be a bit later on when I get the wool. But thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed my Gold Star Work Knitting podcast, and I will see you next time.